Welcome to Transform Now, the podcast brought to you by robotic process automation pioneer Blue Prism. Digital transformation has the potential to reshape the way companies service their customers, engage their employees, and manage their operations. Whether you're looking to develop strategies, tactics, and best practices to positively impact the future of work, or you're curious to learn how other companies have successfully navigated their digital transformation programs, then this podcast is for you. We're here to help you transform now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brad Hairston with Blue Prism. Welcome to the Transform Now podcast. Today, I'm happy to have as my guest, Matt Williams, healthcare industry lead at ABBYY, a process intelligence company and a Blue Prism partner, as well as Bruce Mazza, the GM of process intelligence at Blue Prism. I'm going to be talking with Matt and Bruce about what it means for digital workers to be empowered with process and task mining skills, and how organizations can take advantage of this in their intelligent automation programs. So why don't we start with some introductions? Matt, I'll let you go first.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Matt Williams. I am the senior sales executive here at ABBYY, focusing on healthcare. I have spent actually the better part of a decade of my career working in healthcare, specifically within Cerner, doing EHR implementations, optimization projects for them. So I'm bringing some of that experience over to ABBYY and helping our clients improve their healthcare processes.
Excellent. Bruce?
Yes, thanks, Brad. I'm the Senior VP of our Technology Alliances, and as you mentioned earlier, now focused on this important area of process intelligence. And I've been with Blue Prism just over 2 years, really harnessing the important power of these technology alliances like we have with ABBYY to bring new products to market. And through my career, I've had over 25 years of experience, a lot of them in the communication side, contact center, and now more recently inside the process optimization side of the business with Blue Prism. So glad to be here.
Well, gentlemen, clearly we've reached a huge pivot point in the intelligent automation space, the era of process intelligence. It has been said, those who mine automate. I'm not sure who said that, but I really like that quote. And Blue Prism had a very significant announcement in this area a couple of weeks ago, announcing that we have added process intelligence to our platform through an OEM relationship with ABBYY, a true leader around process intelligence. So this is a big step for Blue Prism. What I love most about process intelligence is that it can help organizations no matter where they are on the automation spectrum, those at the beginning who are trying to figure out where to start automation, as well as those who are fairly mature and looking to take their automation capability to the next level. So Bruce, why don't you start us off by telling us what exactly is process intelligence?
Yeah, thanks, Brad. And actually pick up on that slogan that you just said, whoever mines automates. And actually what we like to think about is whoever understands can automate better. And that's the whole point about process intelligence. There has been a push in the last, 7 years or so for the process mining technologies to come into their own. And many organizations, especially where the technology started in Europe, were using the technology to start to get a view of process optimization in their enterprise. And that early use of the technology wasn't necessarily linked to automation. It was more about understanding where business optimization could come into play as part of a wider, it could be digital transformation, but it also could be mergers and acquisitions or employee optimization, employee training. So now that this whole world of automation together with process mining and now task mining has come together, this really forms the basis for process intelligence. And the key thing is there to drive better insights to then decide what to automate, being able to do this on a continual basis so that it's not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing optimization of intelligence and automation working together.
Okay. Bruce, why was ABBYY selected as the technology partner to provide this capability for Blue Prism?
Yeah, great question, Brad. We've had a really strong relationship with the ABBYY team for a number of years, actually over 4 years. But most people know ABBYY in the market as the leader in intelligent document processing and that content understanding. They've been in the market for over 30 years, really as the leader in that space. And several years ago, acquired Timeline PI, which Blue Prism also had a great relationship with as a separate vendor. And the reason why we are working with ABBYY now as part of this whole process intelligence space is because of that combination of technologies. To be able to do this well, you have to be able to understand a huge amount of content that's both structured and unstructured. And there's a lot of unstructured data in user tasks. So who better to do that than the leader in unstructured data and understanding, which is ABBYY. But it actually goes deeper than just the technology. We're working together very closely in the market. We're working closely in R&D on an integrated roadmap. And most importantly, and Matt gave an example there of a customer, we have a lot of joint customers that use our technologies together. And when we started looking at this deeper relationship for process intelligence, all we had to do is turn to our customers and ask them, what's working well in your environment? What types of process and task mining capabilities are effective, are providing value? And the answer kept coming up again and again. For Blue Prism customers, that ABBYY Timeline was the choice. It was extremely effective. Although there are many choices out there, this was very much the best choice. So it became a very natural extension of our partnership.
And Matt, process intelligence involves full OEM integration of ABBYY Timeline and Blue Prism. So I assume we're not talking about a simple API integration between our platforms.
Exactly.
So Matt, Bruce mentioned process mining and task mining. I think it's worth our while to stop here and let you tell us what is the difference between those two.
Yeah, absolutely. I do hear a lot of people use those two terms interchangeably, and really they serve very different purposes. So I think it is important we understand the difference. So why don't we start with this? Let's actually define what a process is. And the dictionary definition of a process is a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. So a good way to think about process mining is analyzing the end-to-end process. We're looking at how each step relates to each other and correlates to a specific outcome. For example, you might see a missing or duplicate steps. You might see bottlenecks or root cause problems, so on and so forth. As opposed to task mining, you're really looking at each step individually. You're not seeing how they correspond to each other to achieve a particular end. So you're really going one layer deeper and you're looking at the individual clicks needed to complete a specific task, which is generally done for the express purpose of designing an automation. So with task mining, you're able to see frequency, you're able to see complexity, cycle time, all those key metrics that you need to qualify, quantify, and design an automation. But what's important to understand about this distinction is the tools are used very differently. So a common trap that I see a lot of clients fall into is rushing to task mining in order to automate specific tasks. If your process is broken, what good is it to automate that broken process? You may automate one step only to create a bottleneck downstream, or you may have a process with so much variation that automating one task won't make a dent in the ROI that you're trying to achieve. You may be better off standardizing that process first and then automating second. So I typically recommend the client start with process mining to find out where their process issues are, and then deploy task mining to quickly design your qualified automation candidates.
Okay. Bruce, how does process intelligence improve the process automation development cycle from end to end?
Yeah, and it goes into what Matt was talking about there, which is really doing an effective discovery. Blue Prism, we talk about the three overall phases of automation lifecycle. So discovery, design, and delivery. And this discovery part about leveraging process and task mining, just in the way that Matt talked about, it's really an effective use of that technology. The impact that it can have on the analysis phase and the discovery phase can typically be in a savings of up to 80%. And what we're talking about there is the, traditional methods of finding what processes to automate, what tasks sit underneath them that can actually be understood to the level of detail and granularity that could be meaningful to an automation developer often requires a lot of time and energy, documentation, user surveys, time studies. And that, by the way, is very difficult to do, especially in this post-COVID era, to sit down with users and be able to do that. So what process intelligence can do on that discovery phase is use a data-driven approach, get the data from the backend systems in the case of process mining, and from users in cases of task mining, aggregate a much, much larger sample size of data, and then draw on the analytics tools to help visualize and see the patterns, what processes to automate, which ones provide the highest ROI, also which process variations, especially when the user data comes in from task mining, will give you the best outcome, as opposed to just automating a sample from a couple of users. You can actually see the variations and decide which ones will be the best for the business outcome that you desire. So that's all in the discovery phase. But if you look at the second phase, design, what process intelligence does is it allows you to then take the output from that analysis and immediately put that into the design, at least a wireframe. So we can say that that saves time and energy. We estimate about 30% of the time it takes to build the automations. And we expect that to go up over time as the technologies come closer together. So now you're speeding up the analysis, you're speeding up the design phase, and then the all-important delivery phase. So after it's in production, then you can actually monitor the results end-to-end process, including what your digital workforce is doing and what your end users are doing. And you can see continual variation. You can see where there's opportunities for compliance and reaching your ROI. You can monitor that so you can continuously optimize. So that's the end-to-end cycle to think about.
As it relates to the discovery part, what you described sounds like a much more fact-based approach. You're letting the technology do the work for you. And it sounds like the combination of process and task mining makes it so much more comprehensive. You're not just looking at the happy path. You're looking at all the different tangents. Is that fair?
That's exactly right. Yeah. It's really a data-driven exercise where your sample size could be in the thousands or 100,000s of data points to allow you to see the truth, to see the process as it actually is and see what the users are doing. And so that way, when you're automating, you're making a lot less mistakes. You don't have to do rework because you're finding the real details that sit behind the process and the tasks from day one. And that's a dramatic difference in outcomes.
So Matt, where do machine learning and predictive analytics come into play here?
Yeah, so I like to think clients typically adopt process mining in a maturity model. So it typically starts at more ad hoc process analysis. And this would be more of a project by project basis. So I have a particular problem process. I want to understand how to make improvements. I feed the data into process mining, task mining, so that I can identify where there's inefficiencies. And then I move on to the next one. So that's a very, I guess, ad hoc way of thinking about it. The next level is to actually connect process intelligence with a strategic initiative like automation, so that you can actually turn those insights into action. So in that case, we have clients like Pfizer who have integrated process intelligence into their RPA Center of Excellence. So all of their automation candidates go through a qualification process within process intelligence to tell them, is this a good automation candidate? Is it a poor automation candidate? Should we take additional steps in order to improve the process before we can actually design our automation? How can we quickly design and deploy those automations so that we avoid rework and redesign on the back end when we perhaps didn't account for some variations in our process? Then when we talk about machine learning, to your point, where I think the holy grail is deploying process intelligence to do operational monitoring. So this would actually continuously feed data into the process intelligence solution and monitor our best practices and take proactive action when there's violations. So I can continuously monitor a process. And let's say if I skip a step or a particular action happens, I can actually trigger actions within the tool to take proactive action, such as triggering an RPA bot to go do something. So machine learning is then used to make predictions about what might happen in the future and allow me to be much more proactive rather than reactive in the way that I deal with those eventualities.
Matt, let's dig into some use cases that could benefit from process intelligence, perhaps focusing on some of our largest verticals, such as banking, insurance, and healthcare.
Yeah, so I'm obviously a bit partial to healthcare given my background. And quite frankly, it gets me really excited about process intelligence in this industry is how much data, how much process data is available in these core systems like your Epic and your SIR EMR systems. There's just so much opportunity. So one of our clients, Geisinger Health, which is really our incubator client, we've done a lot of work with them. One of my favorite use cases is a use case around insurance verification. So as patients are getting scheduled, they obviously need to check to see if the patients are covered from an insurance perspective for the services that they're going to be providing. And when we got there, we identified that only about 40% of their schedulers were following the protocol of checking the insurance verification. Pretty simple step, but it was getting skipped. So we did an analysis, identified who was part of that problem, and we actually got to the level of that operational monitoring where we were continuously feeding data from their Epic EMR to identify who the schedulers are and when they weren't actually checking the insurance verification. And we were setting reminders to their managers to notify them twice a day who aren't following their best practices and using those as coachable moments to make improvements in the future. So within about a month, we got that compliance rate from 40 to 87%, which is a huge increase. And what I think would be even better would be to deploy automations to potentially automate some of those steps. And I think that could actually get it much closer to 100%. So by doing that, obviously there's a lot of impact downstream on their front end denials, which is the next piece of that, where we want to start connecting the denials data back to the verification data and see what big of an impact that's having. But very excited about that. In another industry like financial services, we have a very large banking client with about $1 trillion under management. And they were having issues with their investor onboarding process. So in that process, they're onboarding thousands of investors. And one of the things they have to do, a part of that onboarding process, is to match the investment strategy to the investor's risk profile. So in that case, just given the sheer volume of transactions they're doing, they had about 16 FTEs that were auditing about 15% of those processes to see whether or not they were in compliance with those best practices. So with process intelligence, we're able to audit 100% of those transactions, and they only need 3 FTEs to do that. So all in all, we're saved them about $2 million in direct savings just by creating better visibility into each individual of those transactions. Yeah, pretty impactful stuff when you actually get it deployed.
No, that's great. Thanks for those examples. So let's move now to like a customer story that demonstrates the power of process intelligence combined with intelligent automation. Could you guys share an example that comes to mind?
Yeah, sure. I think Matt touched on Pfizer earlier as a customer that uses both Blue Prism as well as the ABBYY timeline process intelligence. And again, that's part of prioritizing their roadmaps, understanding where the best ROI is out of their processes is driving an effective roadmap. And they're using that across multiple lines of business now. And that's really part of accelerating their automation journey and their roadmap is they fully embedded that practice within their CUE and their lines of business. We also have a very large telco over in the Far East that is doing the same. They're leveraging that across a very large estate of Blue Prism automations to really define their roadmap effectively in doing that at scale. I also just got off with one of the healthcare clients. It's now a gentleman named Benjamin Berkowitz, who's at Mass Brigham General, longtime Blue Prism user, also had just started deploying the timeline process intelligence solution. And he talked about the importance of being able to not only scale those data-driven decisions and those clear ROIs within their lines of business, but also simply taking the doctors and nurses off the floor, out of their work to go do these important user studies is not a great use of time. So now with the data-driven approach, the users can stay focused on their jobs, and the outcomes from the automations can make real impact and positive impact to the patient experience. And so that virtuous cycle is now started at Mass Brigham General. And now Benjamin Berkowitz has just joined Vertex Pharmaceutical, where he's got a Blue Prism estate that he's working on and is planning to move ahead also with process intelligence for the same reasons. So we see this in multiple industries across the globe, use of this technology to make better decisions. And I really liked Matt's examples there with Geisinger and the other financial house, because it's the combination of the automation acceleration together with the critical optimization of insights and process. That's really where the end value comes together for our clients.
And Bruce, how are we helping existing and new Blue Prism customers get familiar with process intelligence if they're not already using this capability?
We've got a couple of different ways. First and foremost, Blue Prism customers today immediately can get access to licenses of process intelligence if they're under support. So with our maintenance support package, they're immediately entitled to get those licenses to get started. And what we recommend there is engage with us together with Blue Prism and the ABBYY team. We'll start an effective workshop, get some training, and then do a workshop with you to look at your use of the technology, to define your goals, to ingest some data, and then show how the analysis tools and the linkage to the automation capabilities within Blue Prism can really make an impact. And by doing that, we want to make the clients self-sufficient with this capability, make it part of their maturing CVs. New customers that are considering Blue Prism and other alternatives, again, we make that quite easy to do a smaller version of what I just talked about as part of our customer review process and onboarding. And we can look at doing a proof of value in the same way, so they can really help the clients see the value, not just hear about it on paper.
Great. Matt, how quickly can companies start using process and task mining? What does the ramp up typically look like?
Yeah, I think that's one of our key differentiators. And the way that we're able to get started so quickly is we have all of our analysis modules already pre-built within the application. So there's no coding that's needed. And what that means is as soon as we get data, we're able to answer a lot of very intricate best practice process questions that you want to get into. So just to give you an example, we did one of those workshops that Bruce just mentioned with a customer, and within 5 hours, we had data in the system. We're already doing analysis, and we identified about $1.5 million in cost savings. So what I think is really important is that the tool is able to ingest lots of different data. We have data transformation capabilities within the application to get it into a format that allows us to put it into our analytics layer. And then once it's in the analytics layer, all of the modules are there ready to go. So we don't have to deal with 6-month ramp up times that I hear from other organizations where you have to do a lot of configuration and things needed in order to get the data into a format that you actually started getting insights from. So Blue Prism Process Intelligence allows us to get at those insights much, much faster.
Fantastic. Bruce, do you think the addition of process intelligence is a major inflection point for Blue Prism intelligent automation?
I think it is. Not try to just look at the glass half full. If you think about where our clients are typically at, many of our clients have a very effective scale program, but to get to the next layer of value behind the low-hanging fruit, they need to make intelligent decisions about where to scale up. In fact, a lot of our automation COEs inside of our clients are under such heavy demand to do more. It's not about necessarily just finding an automation. It's finding the next best automation that can have an impact to the enterprise. So for those customers that are that, call it mid-stage journey, but have plateaued, this is a way to accelerate to a new level of maturity within your COE, again, using that data-driven approach. I think for clients that are starting out brand new, again, they can put their best foot forward as part of their developing COE to embed this practice where the lines of business and the data analysts, the business analysts, get armed with the process intelligence code tools. As Matt said, the no code. So now you can have this idea of a citizen business analyst. We talk about citizen developers.
Right.
Now we can have citizen business analysts that can do significant analysis in a short period of time to make critical decisions that can have big impacts. So I think COEs that are earlier on the journey, by getting that idea, getting that structure set with their analyst teams, with their lines of business and their COE, they can accelerate that journey even faster. And I think the analysts all agree across, Gartner, Forrester, IDC, and others, that this is really a critical inflection point around the areas of process intelligence coming together with automation. This is a big inflection point in the market. It is the right time.
Matt, what about you? What are your thoughts about the strategic implications of this new collaboration between Blue Prism and your company, ABBYY Timeline?
Yeah, I'm just excited for our customers, to be quite honest, because I hear all the time about organizations, they are struggling to get the insights they need to scale their automation. I think we've heard some statistics in the industry about automations failing or organizations failing to achieve the scale that they set out to. So I think it's twofold. It's helping them, one, uncover the hidden automation opportunities that they're not aware of. So whether they're stagnant, they've hit a plateau and they're not quite sure where they should take all of the great results that they've achieved so far and go out to other lines of business and deliver on those same promises. Or it could be they have so much opportunity. You're in an enviable spot where the business has really bought into the automation program and they're delivering more and more automation opportunities that the COE has to then qualify. So they have limited resources within their organization. We talked to a customer not too long ago that had probably a list of 100 automation opportunities that they had to qualify and ultimately design automations around. So they just didn't have the bandwidth to do all that manually. They couldn't go do their observations. They couldn't map the processes manually, do the variation analysis, and then have to go through the manual process of designing those click by clicks in order to create and sign that automation within Blue Prism. So with process and task mining, you take a data-driven approach that automates a lot of that. You can very quickly see what the ROI is going to be and see whether it reaches the threshold worthy of automation, or go ahead and deploy task mining to quickly gather all the click by click steps and design your automation to feed that into Blue Prism so that you've got the skeleton already ready to go. Whether you're out there, you're searching for automation opportunities, you're trying to deliver more business or deliver more value to the business, or you have so much automation opportunities at your fingertips that you're not quite sure where you should best spend your resources. I think it's going to be process intelligence is going to allow you to be much more strategic in that regard.
Makes sense. So Bruce and Matt, a final question for you. As you know, process mining solutions have been in the market for more than 5 years. What is different about the Blue Prism and ABBYY solution?
I think, given the fact that we're merging in and linking in process and task mining directly into the automation stack, fundamentally is different. And the start of our integration where we can take task mining outputs that have been analyzed and immediately build those into digital PDDs inside of Blue Prism and ultimately skeletons. That's awesome, but that's just the beginning. We definitely have a very exciting roadmap ahead where we'll be driving much greater insights from that unstructured data to be able to make that more effective. We'll be driving that end-to-end ongoing monitoring with linkages that take real-time data all the way through to that virtuous cycle where it can drive digital workers into action to remediate a problem, as Matt talked about. We'll be doing more integration with the crowdsourced traditional ways of looking at process assessment and bringing that all together. So I do think this is just the beginning of this vision of process intelligence. Just imagine a day when at any given time, there could be a whole set of analysis going on in the background that's immediately presented to the business analysts and the COE in an ongoing fashion about automation opportunities. And if you think about that world, it's automating automation, it's automating the insights, and it's automating the optimization. And that's really the vision that we're both driving towards. So that's super exciting. And I think it will be very well served with this partnership because of the leadership that ABBYY has in this space. And same with Blue Prism. It's a great partnership. We expect big things for our clients.
Great. Matt, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I guess it's just, piggybacking on what Bruce said. I think it's the combination of insights and action. So traditionally, process intelligence as a standalone application, produces the insights, but then it's on the business to decide what do we do with that. So by combining that with Blue Prism, you now have that, immediate action that can be done to resolve those process issues and create those efficiencies. So we're not letting those insights go by the wayside. We're actually turning that into, actionable value for the business. So I think that's incredibly powerful, and not only giving the insights, I think it's also just the speed to value. I see so many clients when we get into these proof of concepts, competitive situations, they get told time and time again that it takes 6 months to stand up a process intelligence platform to even start getting those results. And we can do these in hours. The value to our customers is going to be so much quicker, and they're going to get such faster results with this combination of technologies.
Well, Bruce and Matt, thank you so much for your time and your input today. I'm really excited about process intelligence. So many companies that have gone down the intelligent automation path have struggled in scaling their solution. And I think process intelligence can play such a big role in helping them expand their capability more rapidly and more broadly across the enterprise. The impact on the overall intelligent automation journey seems to be very significant. So thank you again for your time, and be well.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks so much, Fred.
Thanks for tuning in to Transform Now. For more insightful discussions on digital transformation and more, check out our podcast channel where you'll find all of our previous episodes. To make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player. And if you like what you heard, please leave us a review. For more information about digital transformation and the future of work, check out blueprism.com to learn how Blue Prism's digital workforce is enabling enterprise transformation now.